Okay, all right. Seems like we are live now. I can hear myself coming through the mic now, so that's good. So, welcome to LOL Celebrates Kerouac. If this is the first event of LOL Celebrates Kerouac you came to, thank you for coming out. We do have some programs in the back. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, all-volunteer organization. We put this festival on every year. It's our 36th annual festival, celebrating Jack Kerouac in this hometown. And since 1994, we have been blessed to have the guy I'm about to introduce come up here and celebrate with us. His old friend and collaborator, Jack Kerouac. I'm talking about David Amram, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it for David Amram. And they're going to do a fantastic show. It's going to start in a mere moment. And then after that, we have a great Lowell band that I had the privilege of seeing the leader of that band play with David years ago. I think it was 2011 or 12 when she was an undergrad student at UMass Lowell studying music. And she came out and backed up David and John Sinclair and a few, Mark Murphy, a few other people. And she's going to be bringing her band, the Party Band, out here after these guys. So we got a fantastic evening of music in store for you. So without any further ado, I want to introduce you to David Amram and his band. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for him.
Jack a parlé en français. Bienvenue ici au concert de la band Sous-Temps for the wonderful musicians who are playing with us. I'm a newcomer. This is only my 30th year at the festival. And if I mentioned everyone that I know from old friends, the night would be over before we played a note. So I will spare you the hot air until the intermission, at which point the eyes glaze over with boredom. I won't be offended. Playing the conga drums, master young musician I've known most of his life. Love playing with him. He's a songwriter. He has a song on Sirius Radio, and he plays, going to be playing in Texas, his own music. He's also a master carpenter, master art handler. He does everything well, including playing all kinds of percussion. And my own son, Amram. Playing the drums, he's been at Lowell Celebrates Kerouac so many times. He's about to become an honorary citizen. I've known him since he was in high school, which was a few weeks ago, plus 50 years. And it's just a joy to be with him. He's a composer. He plays every kind of music in the world, and a great drummer and a great friend, and loves Lowell Celebrates Kerouac and playing for poets and doing everything. Mr. Kevin Twig. Playing bass violin. You'll notice he doesn't have frets on his bass, so he has to put his finger down at the right time in the right place to get all the right notes. Master musician that travels all over the world, and we just lucky he can come up to Lowell Celebrates Kerouac again. And a treat to play with Mr. Renee Hart. One of the best guitar players I've ever heard in my life. And as I approach 94 next month, I've heard a lot of guitar players. You all probably recognize him from playing electric bass with Sonny Rollins for all those years, but he's also one of the great guitar players. We're lucky he's free tonight to come with us. The master, Mr. Jerome Harris.
Yes, sir.
Since this is celebrating Jack Kerouac, and I was his friend before On the Road came out, and stayed that way until he passed away in 1969, and his musical collaborator. This would be a song, as we often did at Bring Your Own Private parties to pour us out, made up on the spot. So if any of you are recording this, please call me up and send it to me. Maybe there'll be a good line we can use. And this would be Lowell Blues for all of yous. And if someone who's more technically adapted than me could turn the piano on, that would be great. I'm hitting the keys, but they ain't nothing happening. Ah, good. Is it a little too loud? Jack Kerouac with you. You might have say I've never heard this song before, and I'll sure be glad when it is through. It's only whether or not you paid your dues. This song is especially for the anniversary of Lowell for all of yous. Every band play a solo of the 12-bar blues. When they're done, before the sun rises over the Merrimack River and blesses us all with its beautiful vibes. Today, we're just so happy we can be here and finally play. When I first came to Lowell back in 1994, Jack was gone. He spoke so much of Lowell, I knew what was right and wrong. Nobody here put on airs or acted superior in any way. Once I visited like everyone else, I wanted to stay. We're going to hear something, and it won't be embarrassed any of you when you hear the great solo from Jerome Harris. Something on the bass that you want to say. Wish I could study music with someone like Renee. We'll be as delighted as we are each and every night that we get a chance to join him. Let's hear them airplane. of yous. Let's not forget the percussion in the discussion of what we're dealing with tonight. Because when Jack used to go down the Moody Street, to his delight, everyone from the great drummers of yesteryear to the drummers of today play 4 bars apiece. It's the quiver and the clap and play. You get the idea of this song. At least this song wasn't too long. We've been known to go on for hours doing that type of thing. Duke Ellington said so divinely, they don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. All we want to do is play a little 12-bar blues for all of you. This song is for everybody who's here tonight. After 30 years, we finally seen we've gotten it right. We played in a place where they had a sound system and they were used to having music played. It doesn't make any difference because every time you do something in the temple of our stuff, you're supposed to have made. So we want to thank all of you for being here. Let's spell out hello. The cheer right now. L-O-W-E-L-L spells low. L-O-W-E-L-L spells low. That's the song, the blues for all of you. Now we go from the ridiculous to the sublime rather than the sublime to the ridiculous. We're going to do some pieces for those of you who might feel that jazz is something else that disappeared from this town when Moody Street closed down long before a lot of you were born. Jazz is extraordinary, ever-changing music, just as life is ever-changing. And the wonderful thing is the attitude and the spirit of appreciating all musics, all people, all things of beauty is something that is ancient in all of us and more or less forgotten about and kind of discarded in a consumer culture where people think that if you appreciate jazz, you can't enjoy anything else. And actually, jazz is a passport to appreciating everything in life, not only including the extraordinary, ever-changing music, which is called jazz, which is called just about everything you can imagine, but all the other events and forms of art that touch us, like the wonderful paintings that are up on the wall. When we played at the old wonderful place called the Five Spot in 1957, and Jack used to recite poetry before we did it formally. Painters always had their stuff on the wall. Singers, dancers, ballet dancers, bartenders, waitresses, carpenters, visionaries from New Jersey, and visitors from other countries all appreciated one another and kind of supported each other in a free-floating community, very much the way Lowell still is today, the rural city. And this is one of the wonderful examples of how folklore in the hands of a jazz musician became something different. It's a song that we all know, but it was originally a folk song that was sung to, if I can get the cowbell out and start it off, sung to Sonny Rollins by his mom and pop, who came, as all of us did, except for the Native Americans from a different country, and showed the blessing of immigration in the last several hundred years. This is from the West Indies. And when I finally got to St. Thomas and played it, they said, "Oh, that's a good tune. We played that long before Sonny made it into a jazz hit." This is our version of a great song. When I played with Charles Mingus in 1955, Sonny used to play this tune for all of us. And he's still alive and still creative and just still as wonderful as he was back then, 70 years ago. It's called St. Thomas. So we'll take a trip to St. Thomas from Lowell without the airfare, without frequent flyer miles, nothing. And take it from there. Thank you so much. We're going to play one that I wrote myself rather recently, back in 1964. I just had a concert at Carnegie Hall 2 nights ago. They played a piece that I just finished last week. So for those of you who are composers, conductors, actors, dancers, singers, brain surgeons, astronauts, or whatever you do, keep on doing it and enjoy yesteryear, and have the yesteryears become part of your now. And that way, every now that you experience will be the good old days for whatever you're doing. This is one that was written for a wonderful play by Arthur Miller, and I was lucky enough to be a composer in residence for the repertory theater, which collapsed after they quit. Elia Kazan directed it, and Arthur Miller wrote a special play called After the Fall. And during the Depression, he left his beautiful home. He moved to Brooklyn. He worked at the Navy Yard and odd jobs, and wrote many of his wonderful plays. He was also a bright crooner. And like Kazan, he loved Chopin, and he loved jazz. And there's not that much of a distinction. They're all beautiful, sincere musics built to last. And this was a waltz that I wrote, which was extended from the 45 seconds as it appeared in the play to the lengthier, lower version that we have now. And that's what happens with music as it ages, like fine wine. It either gets rotten or it gets better. Hopefully, this is a little bit both. This is the waltz from wonderful Arthur Miller's beautiful play, After the Fall. I'll give the cowbell back to Adam. Since this is an evening celebrating Jack Kerouac, we have wonderful readers who are here, and one of the people who's from Lowell, he teaches English here. He's traveled all over the place. In fact, he's traveled all over New York City, one of the famous suburbs of Lowell, Massachusetts. All 5 boroughs using the fabled Lowell footmobile, and in his travels taken extraordinary photographs of Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, and the other boroughs that are not familiar with many people who spend their lives there because they don't use the footmobile and catch all those wonderful things. And he also is a great scholar of Jack Kerouac and all literature built to last, and we're so glad that he's here. He did a program this morning, and if you go on a tour with him or hang out with him, you'll get a better college education than you will in any college yet until he becomes the president of it and shows everybody how to be for real and enter into the University of Hangoutology and find out from others who know more than we do about what was, what is, and what will be. His name is Bill Walsh. And he's going to read one. And I tried to get in touch with Charles, who teaches at and he was going to read a second one. But if he's not here, Bill, can Mr. Shuttleworth here too? Well, he's a professor that came here, and I had the pleasure of being in his wonderful school outside of San Jose, and he somehow got the people in the school to become aware that Jack Kerouac was not the avatar of the non-existent at the time that we were supposedly members of it. Generation, but an extraordinary writer, a genius from Lowell, who being dressed up like a boucheron, a French-Canadian lumberjack of 100 years ago, didn't change into a tweed coat with patches on the sleeves, adopt a fake English accent, and snub everybody as the novelist of the year, but rather remained the same fantastic, genius, wonderful down-home cat that he was, representing this beautiful city. And as a result, the gravy train that he created, which everybody jumped on, almost all of them jumped off of it a year later when he committed the greatest crime in American culture, which was to fall out of fashion. However, when he passed away in 1969, he was still writing up a storm, and now people are reading his books, which is the whole idea. If you get a chance to go to Lowell High School and see the amazing poetry competition that they have, over 60 young folks are reading in English their poetry and applauding one another. And Jack and I discussed if we were in school and had a copy of Walt Whitman in our possession, we'd get beaten up. Times have changed. Lowell has not changed. It's just become more Lowell than ever. And this is a wonderful example of someone who came, and the part that Charles will read is when Jack heard a lot of these people on Moody Street, which is no longer here, but the memories are still there. You can get a sense of his amazing appreciation of Thelonious Monk and Lester Young and Charlie Parker, long before any journalists were giving them credit, including people who are supposed to know about music, because he appreciated the spirit that they came from and the culture and cultures that they came from. And now, all these years later, we're told that Bach in America had his influence by having our own Bach, Charlie Parker and Thelonious Monk and others, who didn't go to music school, but were in the Conservatory of Life and of all musics. So it's wonderful that we can honor Jack by Jack honoring what we had in the 40s that was dismissed by almost everyone, and now young people in their 20s are reading it that weren't even born when he was writing about this stuff, but it means something to them, just as Don Quixote is still current and still hip and relevant, and as the Iliad and the Odyssey is relevant, and as Shakespeare is relevant. And if you get a chance and you have it, go out to the Memorial Park and see some of his beautiful literature that he wrote in stone for all of us to see, as long as the stone is here. So please welcome a wonderful teacher who got his school miraculously to accept Jack Kerouac as an author of distinction. Because all he used to say to me is, instead of reading books about me, why don't they read my books? Now, the whole generation is not interested in Philippines generation, but they are interested in his writing. And as they used to say at 3 o'clock in the morning, by their works ye shall be known. Please welcome all the way from out west, reading, and he gave a wonderful talk this afternoon, and some of you are out. Professor, in the truest sense, Charles. Is he here?
Yes.
Where are you?
Right behind you. No, I'm not Charles.
Bill Shuttleworth, is he here? Bill, say it. Bill?
Oh, my God, that's a shot. Oh, yeah, he's here.
Oh, no. Could Professor Shuttleworth come up and read something, please? Is he here?
Where's Mr. Shuttleworth?
Well, accepting the award for Charles Sutherland, we'll have Bill. Is he here? Oh, great.
There he is.
Okay, there he is. Is he here?
Yes.
I wanted to invite him this afternoon, but he was mobbed with all his admirers. Jim, is he here?
Jim?
Shuttleworth here?
Oh, Shuttleworth, yes. Charles, maybe he isn't. No, I don't know if he is. Yeah. No, he's not here. He's not here.
What?
He's not here. No, he's actually not here.
Oh, he's
No, he's not.
Unfortunately, Professor Shuttleworth is wiped out from his performance this afternoon, so...
What's that?
Children of the American Pop Night?
I'm sorry?
You want to read that one?
Okay, I'll tell you what. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Reading in place of Charles Shuttleworth, the nephew of Jack Kerouac, would be more appropriate, Mr. Jim Sanders, also presenting us.
Once there was Louis Armstrong, blowing his beautiful top in the muds of New Orleans. Before him, mad musicians who had paraded on official days and broke up marches in ragtime. Then there was swing and Roy Eldridge, vigorous and virile, blasting the horn for everything it had. In waves of power and logic and subtlety, leading to it with glittering eyes and a loving smile, and sending it out broadcast to the rock jazz world. Then it comes Charlie Parker, a kid in his mother's woods shed in Kansas City, blowing his taped up alto among the logs, practicing on rainy days, coming out to watch old swinging bassy Benny Fortune band, and then Hot Lips Page and the rest. Charlie
into Harlem, meeting the mad, felonious monk, the matter, Gillespie, Joey Parker in his early days, when he was flipped and walked around in a circle while playing, somewhat younger than Mr. Young. Alto C, KC, that gloomy, saintly goof, to whom the history of jazz was wrapped. For when he held his horn and horizontal from his mouth, he blew the greatest. And then his hair grew longer, and he got lazier and stretched out. So it finally fell away. And today, as he wears it in thick-soled shoes, so that he can't feel the sidewalks of life, and his horn held weakly against his chest.
General Santos meeting Jack Kerouac. And now, subbing for the great Bill Walsh himself, reading the end of On the Road, one of the most beautiful things ever written.
So in America, when the sun goes down, and I sit in the old broken down river pier, watching the long, long skies over New Jersey, and sense all that raw land that rolls in one unbelievable huge boat over to the west coast, and all that road going, and all the people dreaming, and the immensity of it. And in Iowa, I know by now that children must be crying in the land where they let the children cry. And tonight, the stars will be out. And don't you know that God is Pooh Bear? The evening star must be drooping and shedding her sparkler dims on the prairie, which is just before the coming of complete night that blesses the earth. Darkens all the rivers, cups the peaks, and folds the final shore in. And nobody knows what's going to happen to anybody besides the fall-on rags of growing old. I think of Dean Moriarty. I even think of old Dean Moriarty, the father we never found. I think of Dean Moriarty. Thank you, David and Jerome and Kevin, Adam, and Renee. Being here with us.
And now, for those of you that haven't heard it 400 times already, we never get tired of playing it. Something Jack, the lyricist for this song, if you can call it that, were Jack Kerouac, his road buddy, Neil Cassidy, and Allen Ginsberg. I mean, they would, one of them would come into town, they'd write a great big book. So there's a huge collection of all the different things that they wrote down. When we did the film called Pull by Daisy in 1959, Jack chose the words that he thought would be most appropriate for the song. So this is the one that we used with a little bit of stuff in between. The lyrics are by them, and they're showing it at the amazing Museum of Modern Art every day, apparently. And it was voted one of the 100 best shorts of the 20th century, and all of us wondered what those judges were smoking when I made the choice. I mentioned that because it was a lot of fun doing it. We were just taking a play, part of a play that he wrote that was amazing, that was done 30-some years after he left us, up here in Lowell for the first time. And it was a wonderful play. He'd never touched it, never had a chance to change it. And of course, we were just clowning around for 50 hours. And Robert Frank heroically filmed all of our juvenile antics from 50 hours into 29 minutes of mayhem. Jack watched it, and from the wreckage of what he'd written, improvised a whole amazing narration that's so good that all the years I've watched it since then, and I hear his incredible free association. How is he ever going to get out of this? And somehow he does. So for all of you who have a creative desire, if you get an iPhone, you can make your own film. Get friends who are working in dry cleaning stores and other places that don't have a gig, musicians, actors, anybody. Make your own movie, put it up on YouTube for free, and not have to spend 10 years trying to get funding for something that goes to the bedsheet festivals and never gets chosen. Anyway, and you get a feedback for how you're doing. And if you make enough films, eventually someone will pay you to make one. And if they don't, that's cool too, because then you'll have something while you're alive that you can show of your own footprint in the sands of time. So we hope this will inspire you to write a better song than this and make a better film than we did. And if you don't, as one of the surviving members of the so-called the generation, you'll be very cross if you don't do something better. This is a lot of fun. It's different every time. And it's called Pull My Daisy. Oh, yeah. And if Jack Kerouac was here, he'd be like the New Orleans, the first to leave the battlefield and the last to leave the party, hanging out with all of you and sitting and playing the guitars. He was not an exclusive person, which made him misunderstood during his lifetime, but beloved by everyone who ever reads his books. I guess that spirit of egalitarianism, and Lowell is nothing but that. And part of our job is to keep it for real and inspire the next generation to tell their story and create their own art.
We love you, Dave. We love you.
Well, here we are in Lowell at LCK. It's my 30th year, don't you know? And it's certainly a place that all of us, once we've been here, want to go. We want to come back just to see old Jack and think of the spirit that made him so beautiful today, and know that those good feelings will never, never go away. Because written in stone in that memorial are the words that he wrote down for us to see. And all of us can admire his love for his home and his family and spontaneity. The fact that he went to church and cared for his mother and was patriotic as well made him go all kinds of torturous routes in the people that sell the idea of the literary establishment of the 1950s, don't you know? Well, everybody felt that that was certainly a place whence he had to go. And if you didn't have a fake English accent and a tweed coat with patches on his sleeve, you certainly were not in a position to play the game of literary make-believe. Jack was too real for that, and that's why his work has survived to this very day. And all the carping critics who hated his work have gone away. But his books remain for all of us to see, and Lowell is the place to be. And we're so happy we can be at this wonderful thing today in LCK. So for all of you who think that anybody at this part of our life is crazy, I can only say that that's the brief introduction tonight for Pull My Daisy. All my eggs are broken. That's the way they used to sing and what the ethno-funkologists call back in the day. And as you all know, since you're here with Lowell Celebrates Kerouac tonight, Jack only spoke French at home since his father told him since he was going to go to school. You better learn a little English too, but only spoke French as we know his way. And his father Leo said, mon cher Zaki, si tu restes ici toute la vie seulement, tu seras obligé comme ta mère à travailler toute la vie dans un factory. Man, if you're going to stay your whole life in town and you're never going to know what's going down in the outside world because you'll be spending all seconds of your precious life working for the man in the factory. Well, Jack had not only extraordinary accomplishments in the fields of literature, getting A's in all of his books that he read, but also was a great halfback on the football team.
Yeah.
Enough was really said, and he was offered a scholarship at Notre Dame, but fortunately he chose Columbia U instead. So after a year in Horace Mann, he got accepted into Ivy-covered select top 5 college, Columbia U. Everybody in Lowell was so astonished that a French-Canadian cat like him could have that possibly something he could do. Well, the third week in practice, he broke his leg and he was too proud to beg, so he had to go out and get all kinds of funky day jobs. And he wrote Town in the City, which only sold a few copies and was unknown when I met him back in 1956, but enough of that said. Finally, in 3 weeks, not using reefer or alcohol, but only smoking Camel cigarettes and drinking coffee, on the road she had written 9 times earlier. If you go to the Lowell Connection in the library and see all the copies of On the Road that he had to be threw away. So he had a book that was already written, like Mozart had it written in his head, so he could type it out as fast as possible. Not slovenly on this because he'd already written the book and knew what to say. Well, 7 years later, Sterling Lloyd, God bless him, took it to the publisher and decided to put it out. And the #1 critic, Orville Prescott, who despised the books and anything generically American, wasn't able to give it a bad shout because he was in Paris trying to see whether or not somebody married his daughter for the money. And they sent the old third stringer Gilbert Milstein in instead, figuring he'd give it a paragraph or 2 in order to get ahead. And instead he gave it the best ever in history review. And all of us were so proud that Jack finally got discovered, even though we didn't realize that that would make a certain part of his life through. He remained the same cat, and even when Truman Capote said it wasn't writing, he was typing. And old Truman still sitting in his white coat in heaven, complaining and griping. Even though he was such a great writer himself. And Jack never had a bad word to say about any of his confreres at all. Because he knew that was certainly only the way to fall. Now, his triumph that he never saw in his lifetime has finally come to pass. Because people are reading his books at last. So we can only say, God bless LCK for keeping it that way. So I'll just tell you what to do. Follow your dreams and your compassion. It doesn't matter what other people think of you. Just do what's in your heart and you can follow your art. Whatever you have to do to pay your rent is incidental to your value as a person, as an artist, as a fellow human being. And come books written about him, but go there and see him study what he wrote himself of his being, and you'll be cool. For Jack Kerouac. Thank you. We're going to do one more piece that we want to end on time. And for those of you who want to hear the party band, don't go away. I met Savannah, who's the band leader. She was just a kid. I wouldn't say a kid, but she's still not a senior citizen yet, which is more than I can say for myself. But she's a wonderful musician, and she was a wonderful musician then. And it was such a thrill to see somebody from Lowell that I was lucky enough to meet who was so good when she was just a kid, leading her own band of people from here. So for those of you who are from Lowell, support your artists, painters, poets, actors, anybody and everybody, and not make them live in a rat-infested, well, not only rat-infested dumps in New York anymore, they're all too expensive. They'll have to go someplace else to be appreciated and then come back. When they're too old to even appreciate themselves. And hopefully every town in the country will have a festival like this celebrating a person of distinction, not necessarily even in the arts, just to celebrate the history of every single beautiful place that we have in America. If you like Jack's books, he celebrated America with all the beauty, and he saw it through the eyes of someone who was the first generation. And since we're all immigrants anyway, where we can learn to love our grandmother's cooking and appreciate ourselves, we'll be a lot happier. Our mental health problems will go away, and also a lot of the other problems, because appreciating ourselves, we won't be victims of a consumer culture that tells us it would be less revolting if we buy stuff that's worthless. That's just a thought, that if you read good literature, hear good music, and see all the beauty that surrounds us, which nature gives us, Jack wrote about so glowingly in his books, about how beautiful Lowell was. Everybody, everywhere can appreciate where they're from, who they are, where their folks came from, their own heritage, and dig each other more as a result. So we're going to play a song. That's the end of my heavy philosophy, so the remaining 8 minutes, we're going to play something from the good old days when I met Charlie Parker in 1952. I was still 21 years old, and I said to him, "Bird, what's it like writing a song? Now's the time." It's so old, because he wrote it in 1945. I was 7 years before I met him, so to me, a third of my life was a long time back then. And he said, "Now's the time, because now was, is, and will always be the time, because now is the right time."
Yeah.
If I was that talented, I'd just come by myself. So let's have a big hand for the 4 fantastic musicians who made us feel so good tonight. Mr. Amram, Kevin Twig, the amazing Renee Hart, and the fabulous one and only Mr. Jerome Harris. And the spirit of Jack Kerouac. And Charlie Parker, who was our hero long before they called him the American Bach. It's a global way because you can hear the best bands party time playing in 2 minutes. Thank you all so much for the happening. And Amram, the myself, LCK, and this wonderful place for jazz and classical music.
And ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time.